Today, keeping with our series of right angle weave, I am now going to show you cubic right angle weave, which is a bit more of an advanced stitch. We have learned how to do right angle weave in several ways so far, so you should have a good understanding of right angle weave. If you have not been following the channel and you do not know right angle weave, then I suggest that you go to the channel itself, the main menu, and start with the first few right angle weave projects and learn right angle weave first, because as I said, this is a more advanced type of stitch. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to make a necklace. We're going to learn the weave. We're going to learn it with two colors because it's easier to do the weave with two colors, and we're going to use a little bit bigger bead because it's also easier to learn the stitch with a bigger bead. So instead of just getting out some large or some 4mm beads and showing you how to make the stitch itself, I have decided to show you how to do the stitch and then make it into a project. So this is a pretty simple, straightforward type of necklace. It turned out quite pretty though. It has a nice crystal change in the middle so that it gives it a little bit of interest. Doesn't make it just a boring rope. It helps a little bit, although you could just do the necklace in the rope part with the pearls, or you could do the entire thing in crystals, whatever you want to do. You don't have to segment it the way I did, or you could segment it differently, whatever you would like to do. Once you learn the stitch, just go for it and make something pretty. So let's go ahead and look and see what we need for this project. For this project, we are going to use two colors of 4mm pearls, or round beads. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pearl. I am using a peach color and a cream color glass pearl. Now, I only have a few out. You will need to have at least 4 strands of these really long strands of 4mm round pearls. I got these at znetshows.com, and you can get them there or wherever you want, but it's about 100, little over 100 pearls per strand, and I am going to use pretty much 4 strands, 2 of each color. So make sure that you have plenty of pearls or 4mm rounds when you start this. You could also probably get away with 6/0 seed beads. Just make sure you have a lot of them. I would say at least 400. Then I'm going to use a bicone crystal in AAB peach tone. This is a Swarovski. And I'm going to use a bicone crystal in clear Swarovski. They're both 4mm. And then you will need just a few 11/0 seed beads, and we will use that for clasping. You will also need a toggle clasp. This is just a little silver tone toggle clasp. You will need a size 10 beading needle and some 8 or 6 pound Fireline, or you could also use 8 or 10 pound nanofill. Any of those will work just fine. Start with a wingspan or 2, which is when you put your arms straight out side by side, stretch from fingertip to fingertip and across your chest, the entire length of both arms. That will be a wingspan. You can start with 1 or 2. You will have to extend your Fireline during this project a few times. So I recommend just starting with 1 wingspan so you don't have to argue with your thread so much while learning the stitch. Also, if you do not know how to extend your Fireline, check out video number 4 on this channel, and it will show you how to extend your Fireline. Let's get started. To start this project, we're going to pick up 4 beads onto our needle, and I'm going to start with my peach colored 4mm round pearls. Just pick up 4. We will do this like we do a first unit of right angle weave. So we'll just bring these down to the end of our thread. Leave yourself 6 to 12 inches to put on your clasp. Probably 12 would be better, just so that you know you have enough. I'm not going to do that because I will extend my Fireline so that the tail doesn't get in the way while I show you how to do the weave here. So I'm just going to leave a few inches to extend my Fireline. Then I'm going to come from the top bead that I'm exiting here into the first bead I put on my tail side, and I'm just going to go through that bead like so. And then I'm going to sew back through these beads that I've just pulled into a circle. So I will go into the next bead and sew all the way around. This will secure our base unit so that we have a nice strong base to start in. Now I am back where my tail thread and my working thread now meet, right here. So I'm going to tie a knot with the two of them. I will tie a knot with the tail thread and the working thread and bring it down between the beads, not on top of them. So just do a really controlled movement as you do that. And then do one more. And this is what you should have. Now I'm right between my beads where I've tied my knot, so I need to go into a bead so that I can start my weave. So I'm going to go into this bead right here. Rearrange my camera a little. There we go. And now we're going to begin our cubic right angle weave. We're going to use two colors to do this so that you can see as we build these little cubes the walls of the cube and the top and bottom of the cube. We can distinguish it better if we have two colors. So this base that I've just created is going to be the bottom of my cube. You can think of it as a box or a room, a house, whatever you'd like. But we need to have a floor, we need to have a ceiling, and we need to have walls. So now that we have the floor, we are going to build our walls and ceiling. So we're going to pick up a different color bead, so I'm going to use my cream color bead for the wall, and then I need to build my ceiling, so I'm going to pick up the same color that I used for my floor, the peach color, and then I'm going to pick up another wall bead, which will be in my cream color. So I'm coming out of the bottom of this bead right here. I'm going to go into the opposite side of the bead here. And I'm going to pull these 3 beads down. And it's just like making another unit of right angle weave. So when you make a regular right angle weave, you'll have this unit and then you'll make your next unit and you'll move forward. Instead of doing that, we are going to work all the way around the unit and build walls and a ceiling from this bottom unit. So now that we have this side wall here, which will stand up like this, we are then going to go into the floor bead. So we're coming out of this floor bead, we're going to go into this one. And we're going to pull our thread through. Now, I need to build a wall here, a ceiling, and then connect this wall to the next unit I'm building. So what I will do is I will pick up a cream color for my wall, a peach color for my ceiling, and then I will go into this wall to join them together. So I'm going to go into this bead here, and then I'm going to join that bead to the floor bead. So I will just go into the floor bead. And I will pull this together. Now, as we do this, we'll just kind of stand them up. Then we're going to turn and we're going to go into the next floor bead. We will always start our units in the floor bead. So you're coming out of this one, we'll go into the next floor bead. And we'll stand our walls up a little bit. It'll start to cut more and more as we do this. So now I need a wall and a ceiling so I can connect to this wall to make my next part of my room here, or my box, we'll call it. So I'm going to pick up a cream color for the side, peach color for the top, and then I'm going to go into the next wall bead, which is cream color. So we'll go into it from the top of the bead and then go into the floor bead that we're coming out of, like so. The first unit always looks like a big mess, and it's hard to distinguish where you're going and what beads are what. And that is just why right angle weave is difficult. It's just the way it is. So now I have built 3 walls and I need to build my 4th. So I'm going to go into the next floor bead here. Now if you look at my piece, I have a floor bead and 2 wall beads. So all I really need to do on this last unit is put a ceiling bead. So I'm going to go from the floor bead up into this wall bead here. Then I will pick up a ceiling bead and I will go into the wall bead on this side, pull it together, and then I need to sew all the way around to the top. So I need to connect this wall bead to the floor. So I'm going to go into the floor bead, my base unit beads, and now I'm in the floor. I need to go up to the top. So I'm going to go into this wall bead here. And now I have a really funny looking little cube here. What I need to do now is I need to join these top beads so that they are secure like my bottom beads, because they're just kind of floating loose on top here. So I'm coming out of this wall bead after finishing this last unit, and I'm going to go into one of the top ceiling beads here, and I'm going to pull these beads together by sewing all 4 of these top beads. So I'll just go into the next one, and then the next one, and I'm just going to grab some tension by pulling tight as I come through each one. Then I'll go into the next one, and then I have to connect one more time. So I'll go into this one. So we're just sewing through all 4 beads on top here. Now we have our first little cube. With these bigger beads, it looks kind of thready and funny. That's okay. It's easier to learn with bigger beads. Plus, we can do some embellishments in between where the thread is and cover that, so it's not that big of a deal. But to show you with smaller beads, it's more difficult to see. As you can tell, the first unit is difficult to see anyway. So now we have joined all 4 of these top beads. We have our first cube. What we are going to do is build our next cube. So I'm just going to hop over into one more bead just to secure this even more tightly. Now my ceiling beads have become my floor beads as I build my next unit or my next cube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of this bead here. I'm going to pick up my wall beads, which are the cream color, and then a ceiling bead, and then a wall bead, so that I can build one total wall connecting to the floor. So it's coming out of this floor bead. We're going to go into the opposite side here of the bead and build our first wall. Now I have a wall of my cube. Then I'm going to go into the next floor bead, always into the next floor bead. You'll be exiting your first floor bead, you'll go into your second floor bead. Pull, and then pick up a wall bead and a ceiling bead, because we already have a floor bead and a wall bead over here. So we're going to connect these to them and make our next wall. So we're coming out of the floor bead. We're going to go into the wall bead of the first unit we made and pull this together. Then we will go back into the floor bead we started in. Pull tightly, gather some tension, and then go into the next floor bead right here. I'm going to turn this slightly so that I can get to it better. And now I'm going to build my next wall to connect to this wall. So I need a wall bead, which is my cream colored. Then I need my ceiling bead. We will always be creating 4 bead units. So as we connect into this bead here, we want to make sure we have 4 beads in each side. So we're coming out of the floor, we're going to go into the wall bead here, and then into the floor bead we started in. Pull this together. And now we have 3 walls for our cube. We're going to go into the next floor bead. Pull it together. Now we have a floor and 2 walls, we just need to build the ceiling. So we're going to go from the floor bead we're coming out of into the wall bead on the same side we're coming out. And then we're going to pick up a ceiling bead. And we're going to go into the wall bead here to connect them. So we'll go here, pull together. Now we need to secure this unit and get to the top so that we can join our 4 top beads. So we're going to go through the floor bead here. We're coming out of the wall. We're going to go into the floor. We're going to go up into the wall here on the same side we're coming out. And then we'll come up into the top beads right here. Your top beads always need to be joined because as you build them, they are not joining together, they're just standing free on top. So now we're coming out of this bead here in our ceiling. We're going to go into the next bead, into the next bead, and just join all 4 of them together. And now I have joined them all together, and you can see now I'm starting to form the shape of a little rope here. So this is the cube because each side has 4 beads. Here, 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 the top and the bottom unit that we worked in. Now because we're using round beads, it doesn't look very cubish, but it is definitely a cube. Now I'm going to get a little closer as we do this next unit just so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. See if I can stay in frame doing this. Now we're coming out of this floor bead right here. I'm just going to go into one more just to make sure that my unit is secure. And then I'm going to start building my next cube. So you can see my 4 floor beads here. We need some walls and a ceiling and another wall. So we're going to pick up 3 beads onto our needle. We're exiting this side here. We're going to go into the opposite side and pull the 3 beads down like so. Then we're going to move over to the next floor bead. So we're coming out of this one, we're going to go into this one. Now, there's our first wall. We need to join it with a wall over here and a ceiling. So we're going to pick up a wall bead, which is my cream color, and then the peach color for the top of the box, and we're going to go into this wall bead here from the top. Don't come down through the bottom of the bead because that will not work. Always come from the top and then straight into the floor bead you started in and pull. Now my 2 walls are standing and I can go over to this side and build another wall. So I'm coming out of this floor bead right here. I'm going to go into the next floor bead right there. And then I'm going to pick up a wall and a ceiling, and I'm going to connect to this wall here and then connect to the floor like so and pull. Now I just have one wall or one ceiling bead left to connect to, but I need to join my walls and my floor together on this side. So I have 3 beads, as you can see. Each unit, of course, is 4 beads. So we're going to go into this bead here, the floor bead. We're going to come up into the wall bead to join it to the floor. And then we're going to build the ceiling. So we will pick up a ceiling bead, and we have to connect it to this wall here because we're coming out of this wall. So we're going to connect the ceiling to this side. And then we have to connect this wall to the floor. So we're going to go down into the floor bead we started in. Now we have the complete unit made. So now we have to sew into this bead and this bead to join the ceiling together. So I am just going to turn this so I can go into this bead here. Now that I've climbed the wall, I can go into the ceiling beads and start to connect them. So I'm just going to go into the top beads here and sew all 4 of them together. And as you get into this, after you get 2-3 units done, then it's much easier to see where you're going and see what you're forming. Now you can see this side here, you can see that it has like little windows. It's like we're building a skyscraper, each unit on top of each unit. And you can see that each side has 4 little windows. And we're just going to continue building these cubes on top of each other. So now we're coming out of this floor bead here. We'll go into the next one, and we'll do 1 more unit so that I can make sure you have a good idea of how we're doing this, and then we'll go to length. So pick up a wall bead, since we're coming out of the floor bead, pick up a ceiling bead. You'll need 3 beads because we're sharing this bead to make our 4 beads in each unit. So a cream, a peach, cream. I'm going to go into the opposite side of the bead I'm coming out of, and I'm going to pull this down. And now I have my first wall and ceilings connected to my floor. I'm going to go into the next floor bead, always go into the bottom bead of your base unit, and then I'm going to add a wall and a ceiling and connect to this wall. So I'll pick up a cream bead, a peach bead, I'll move over to the wall bead here, which is my cream bead, go through the top of it, and then I'm going to turn and go into the floor bead again so that I can connect all 4 beads together and pull. Get my tension. I'll turn my unit or my piece and go into the next floor bead. Now I need to build, as you can see, I have floor and a wall. I need a wall and a ceiling. So I'm going to pick up a wall and a ceiling, like so. And I'm going to go over to this wall to connect my ceiling and my wall on the other side, like so. Then I need to go back into the floor bead to connect all of them together and pull. Now I'm going to turn my piece and go into the next floor bead. On the last unit, we always have 3 beads ready to connect. We only need to add 1 bead on top to finish the little wall and ceiling units here. So we're going to go up into this wall here. We're coming out of the floor. We're going to go into the wall. Now we've connected floor and wall. We need to connect wall to ceiling, so we will pick up a ceiling bead. Then we need to connect to this wall over here, so we'll go all the way across and go into this bead. Pull that bead down, and now we need to connect this wall to the floor again. And we have finished that entire unit. Now we're going to work up this bead into this bead so that we can finish the unit on top. So go up this side wall here, go into the top bead, and join all 4 of your top beads together. And that is how you do cubic right angle weave. And we will just continue making these units until we 24 units. Now, this necklace that I'm making a segment of 24, then I'll start with my crystal. I am planning on making about an 18 to 19 inch necklace. So if you are a very small person, you may want to take an inch off. This measures about 6.5 inches right now. You may want to only go to 5.5 inches if you are small and you want to end up with a 16-inch necklace. If you are very large, then you may want to go 7.5 inches so that you can make a 20-inch necklace. It depends on the length that you want to end up with. However, I have made 24 units, and that measures out to be right at 6.5 inches. And now I am coming out of, actually let's get close. I am coming out of the last unit that I made. I am going to start my next units in crystal. I'm going to do the exact same thing I've been doing. However, now I'm going to use clear crystals and peach crystals. So where I would put my white pearl or my cream pearl, I will put a clear crystal. Where I would put my peach bead, I'll put a peach crystal. And I'll do the exact same units. So I'm coming out of this bead right here. I need to start building a wall. So instead of picking up my white bead, peach bead, white bead, I'll pick up white or clear crystal, peach crystal, clear crystal. And I will go into the other side of my unit, like so, and pull these crystals down. Then I will again go into the next floor bead. So I'm coming out of this floor bead, I'm going to go into this one. And again, I will pick up a clear bead and a peach bead because I need to continue this wall and hook it to this wall. So I will go into the top of this clear crystal right here and into the floor bead, like so. Pull these down for my second wall. I'll turn my piece and go into my next floor bead. And again, I will pick up a clear crystal and a peach crystal because I have a clear crystal to connect to on this side. So I will go into the top of the clear crystal right here, and then I will go back into the floor bead that I started from. Then I will go into the next floor bead again. And on this unit, we already have 3 beads to work with. So we have the floor bead and the 2 wall beads. So we're coming out of the floor bead, we'll go up into the crystal here and get a little closer. I know these crystals might be hard to see, so let's just get a little closer. Go into the crystal, and then I need to pick up my last sealing bead, so I'll pick up a peach bead. I'll go into the top of the clear crystal across from where I'm exiting the other clear crystal, and then I'll go back down into my floor bead. Now all I need to do is hop up to the top and join my 4 peach crystals. So I'll go up to the top, and then I'll just go through all 4 of these crystals on top. And once I've joined them all, I'll go 1 more bead over just to make sure it's secure. And I will start my next unit. So now these peach crystals have become my floor beads. I will pick up a clear crystal, a peach crystal, and a clear crystal. And I will go into the opposite side of the crystal I'm exiting from and make my first wall, like so. Then I will go into the next floor bead. Then I will pick up a clear crystal and a peach crystal to make my next wall. I'll go into the top of the clear crystal of the existing unit existing wall I just made, go back down into my floor bead, turn my piece, go into the next floor bead, and do the same thing again. pick up a peach or a clear crystal and a peach crystal, and then I will go into the clear crystal from the top here, and then go back into my floor bead. Then I will go into the floor bead here, the next one, and of course I have my 3 crystals already here, so I'll go up into the wall, finish the ceiling with a peach bead, go down into the side wall on the other side from which I'm exiting, go back into my floor bead from which I started, and then I will go up the wall bead here and into my top beads and join them. And I will continue this, making segments of crystal. Of course, you can make as many or as few as you want. And I'm going to make probably 4 inches or so. And I will come back and show you exactly how many I've made, so that if you're following me exactly, you will know. So this is how I decided to do the center portion of my necklace. After my 24 units of the pearls, then I did 6 units of crystal, 2 units of pearls, 2 units of crystal, 2 units of pearls, and 6 units of crystals. And now I will begin my 24 units of pearls on this side of the necklace. Okay, so now I have finished my entire length of 24 units on the opposite side of my necklace now after doing my centerpiece, and I am coming out of one of the beads on top. So all the way around your unit, one more time your top beads after closing them together, then sew one more time just to make sure they're nice and secure. Now what you want to do when you're going to do this part is you want to make sure that as you put your clasping on, lay your necklace out so that you will be coming out of one of the top beads, and then you will do that the same row of beads on the other side you will connect from, so that your necklace doesn't twist. So in other words, what I mean is, this is the top of my necklace. I'm coming out of this bead on the bottom here, so I'm coming out of just the opposite one. You could be coming out of either one, it doesn't matter. We're going to put our attachment, we're going to connect it through this bead and this bead. So when you do your other side of the necklace, you want to make sure that you lay your necklace out and attach them from the same 2 beads on that side so that your necklace isn't twisted. So now I'm coming out of this bead here, and I am going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads and a 4mm pearl, and then 2 11-0 seed beads onto my needle, like so. I am coming out of this side of my pearl. I'm going to come through the other side and pull this down. And I'm just going to sew through it one more time just to make sure it's secure. So I'll go through the 2 11-0s and the pearl and the 2 11-0s. And then I'm going to go back through the pearl I'm connecting to, like so. Then I am going to go to the bead directly opposite the one that I've just started my connection in. So I want to sew over to this bead here. Make sure you go to the one directly opposite. So I'm coming out of this bead. I have to sew through this bead in order to get to the opposite bead. So then I'll sew through this one here. Then I will pick up 2 11-0 seed beads. I will push this pearl over and go through it, like so. Then I will pick up 2 more 11-0 seed beads and go through this side. Now I'm going to sew back through that again just to make sure it's secure. So I'll go up through these 2 seed beads here, through my pearl again, and got my thread caught on my scissors, hang on. There we go. And then I will go back down through this side, through this purl again that I'm connecting to, and then back up into the purl on top that I just added. So I'll go through these two 11-ohs again, right here, into my purl, and then I will pick up two 11-oh seed beads, and I'm going to use a peach crystal. You can use a pearl, whatever you want. I'm going to use a peach crystal, and then I'm going to pick up another 11-oh. So you'll have two 11-ohs, two 11-ohs, a crystal, and an 11-oh. Then pick up your clasp and go through it. Then, after you've gone through your clasp, go back through just the 11-oh on top of the crystal and the crystal itself. Hold on to all your beads and just pull your thread through. It doesn't have to be perfectly tight at this moment, but just get it arranged nicely. And then pick up two 11-oh seed beads and go back into the middle purl, like this. And this is what this should look like. Now we're going to sew back through this a couple of times. Make sure your clasp isn't really tight against that 11-oh or you won't be able to come up through it. So I'm on this side, so I'm just going to turn this. I'm going to come up through the two 11-ohs, the pearl, or the crystal, the seed bead on top of the crystal, and then through my clasping, like so. Let me back off just a little because I am not staying in frame. Then I am going to go back down, so I'll go around my clasping and I'll go back down into the seed bead, the crystal, and the two seed beads beneath it. And then again I will sew through the purl. And I'm going to do this one more time. You can do it as many times as you like, but 3 at the very least is the strength that you need. So let's go up through the seed beads again, the crystal, the seed bead on top, and through the clasp. And then one more time, go into the seed bead, go around the clasping, go into the seed bead, the crystal, and the two seed beads on the other side. Here. Straighten it all out. Make sure you have a little movement with your clasp, that it's not so tight that your clasp will not move. And then go through the middle purl again. And then sew down into the two 11-oh seed beads here. And we'll go into our main body of work and we will tie a knot on one of the threads between the beads, which is called a thread bridge. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm coming out of this bead right here. I'm going to grab this thread right here between the beads and I'm going to go underneath it with my needle. I'm going to pull my thread into a loop, pass my needle through the loop, and then pull a knot down on that little thread bridge. Then you've got to stay sewing through, oops, excuse me, I hope I was in frame. Now you've got to stay sewing through the pattern that you've established with your thread originally. So you don't want to go from this bead to this bead, or from just don't cross over the beads, just go around in the original units. So what I mean is I'm coming out here, or actually I have a knot on the thread bridge, so I'll go into this bead. Now if I were to cross over to this bead, let me back off. If I were to cross directly over to this bead, I would have a big mess of thread. So I need to turn and go into this bead here. Now I don't necessarily have to stay in just this unit. I can go down into this bead here. That would be okay. So I'll go down here. And then I'm going to tie a knot on this thread bridge. and then I will go into this bead here. So I'm just turning corners. I'm not crossing over where the beads are open between, just where they're already connected together from our original stitch. That's the direction you want to sew through and tie your knots. And you can sew through as many as you want, and you can tie as many knots as you would like. You can also even turn it to the side, so like I'm coming out of this bead, my original thread path allows me to go into this bead. So if I decide I want to go over a bead instead of sewing down the same side, I can do that. But you just can't cross over the wide intersections here. Okay, so you just can't cross over the wide intersections. Just go around the beads and sew in the same thread path, tie knots, sew some more, tie knots, and then just cut your thread off. Leave a little extra thread on your piece, and then take a lighter and just put it close to the thread and burn it down and tuck it in. And that's how you'll finish that. I'm sorry if I got out of camera on that last little phase. I was not paying close enough attention. I apologize. So now that we have clasped this side, you will take your tail side and do exactly the same thing with the other part of your clasp. I have already done mine. I took my tail thread, extended it because I did not leave a long enough tail, and then I put my clasp on exactly like I put this side on. So go ahead and use your tail thread. If it is not long enough, extend it. Look for video number 4 on this channel if you don't know how to extend your Fireline, and put the other end of your clasp on exactly like you put the first clasp on, and then your necklace will be finished. Now, this is what our necklace looks like. Let me clasp it here and get it all together. Get a little closer. Actually, let me do this. There we go. That is what it looks like. And get it centered. And it turned out quite pretty. So anyway, that's how you do cubic right angle weave. And I just decided to do a simple necklace so that you could just keep doing the same stitch until you got the stitch down. So that's why we've done this one today. There are all kinds of ways to use cubic right angle weave, and we will play with more of those later. But to actually get your mind wrapped around the weave itself, it's nice just to do one straightforward piece like this. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.